Hello, everyone. This is Tanya, your holistic cancer wellness specialist, and the podcast is Power Pantaloons. Today we have Donna of Soul Teaches. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you.
Can you tell our audience a little about what you do?
So I guess, an old-fashioned Renaissance woman in that I do both left brain and right brain activities. In my left brain world, I work with individuals, organizations, nonprofits, etc., that are wanting to make a positive difference in the world. So I help them tell their stories through websites, brochures, etc. Just general consulting, counseling with them. And then on the right side of the brain is the deeper work that I do in relation to healing and transformation. And again, oftentimes with the same organizations or individuals or nonprofits, that the two worlds weave together more and more. And in that realm, I do websites, or excuse me, webinars, retreats, one-on-one consults, courses, etc. All of that's listed at the soulteaches.com website. Uh, but what I'm very happy of is in after the COVID divine experiment, where we're back in touch with each other again, that to literally I can be doing the hands-on body work that I really, really love. And so I do that in my office here in the Midwest, or I go to retreats and stuff, where kind of the overall name my teachers have given me is breakthrough strategist. So whether it's helping businesses break through or individuals break through or bodies break through, that I have been given a gift to see stuckness and helping people get unstuck at every level of their being.
That's fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about stuckness and how it relates to dis-ease in the body that creates disease. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when people contact me, and it's usually through referrals, because what I do is very hard to describe, because it is my own methodology, my own treatment, or treatment isn't the word, modality that I've created. And so people like to experience it one-on-one. So when people come to me, I always listen, and within the first 5 minutes, usually, they say something like, my current job, my current relationship, my current health situation, my current boss. And the key word there is current, because that's what I see. Whatever gift I've been given, I see currents in people's bodies. So whether you're in front of me on a screen like this or on my table, when I look at you, it's almost like an electrician looking at a circuit board. And, excuse me, and I see where people are miswired, or wires are frayed, you're unplugged, or maybe you're plugged into something out here, or something out here is plugged into you. And so your energy is not flowing and doing what it's designed to do, which is to serve this body, um, to help you be a self-healing organism.
So it sounds like there might be elements of Reiki in there and elements of just intuition and chakras and some other stuff.
Yeah, that was an interesting way to put it, the other stuff, because when I was first, or as an adult, first tapped to be looking at all this, I was deep into a left brain corporate world, doing all the regional traveling, blah, 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 blah. And these ideas and images kept coming to me, and information. And, finally I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to have support in doing it. I need to know, the powers of discernment, that I'm calling in the right people, the right energies. And it was literally as if someone, heavenly being, was sitting on the other side of the desk from me with a notepad. All right, all right. And then ripped up that piece of paper and said, and the only thing I'll ask of you is, meaning me, that I do not attend workshops, that I do not attend seminars, that I do not try to learn from other people what spirit wanted to send me in its own way directly. And it wasn't anything that there's anything wrong with what anybody else was doing. It's that I'm such a left brain person. I dissect and analyze everything at that time. And so I would get stuck and not do anything. So that was the answer back to me, is then, your agreement or your part of the deal, bargain, whatever it is that you don't go to other sources of yourself, that you trust the information that you're given and the people who show up. So that's that.
Learning learning to trust your own intuition is that can be a challenge in and of itself. And we've discussed that specific thing on the podcast several times, and it's always fascinating to me, um, how people process that, and a lot of people don't even they ignore their own personal intuition for a very long time until they get stuck. And then sometimes they'll break through and sometimes they won't. They'll stay in the stuckness. So I understand exactly what you're saying. So if somebody was stuck and they do you have any like tools or tricks to help somebody unstick themselves solo?
Yeah. As I think I mentioned to you in an email, that there is a chakra clearing exercise, clearing and alignment exercise that I can give people, that you take you with you wherever you go, and you just choose whether or not you listen to you. So when I work with people, that's what I try to remind them, that what I give them during their sessions or in groups are tools that they take with them and can access anytime, anywhere, for how long as they want, as deep as they want. They simply have to choose to want.
I think it's interesting that you put it that way. When I'm telling people, teaching people how to advocate for themselves when they're talking to their medical professionals, um, one of the things that I explicitly say is, yeah, I understand and respect that you went to medical school for a very long time and you have a lot of knowledge. However, I live here 24/7, so I have a lot of knowledge on this. So you need to respect that as well.
One of the things I have learned, and this was in the business realm, which in this realm and that realm, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth it goes, is when you're going to have to, or we'll be saying a statement that might not be easily received by the other person, the best thing you can possibly do is first say, thank you. Thank you for being the professional that you are and willing to listen to me as we go through this journey together. Because the words thank you have their own vibration to them, and that their brain is hearing they've already given you something and you're a grateful person. So that their walls will go down. So you preface that, or whether it's in the doctor scenario or a business scenario, that's going to be a tough conversation. It disarms, literally disarms the weapons that go up from the other person. It
Yeah.
disarms them. So a little thing.
Well, gratitude goes a long way. Sincere gratitude. And
Yes,
yeah. Um, sorry, I lost my train of thought. It
that's
happens.
okay.
Yeah, that's the way my brain works post chemo, and I'm still grateful for the vessel that I have, and even if the mind is not doing what it used to do, um, I have learned some techniques and processed through it and just sit in gratitude. Whereas before, when I would lose a train of thought or lose a sentence or lose a complete word, I would be frustrated with myself. People, I've lost complete people out of my memory banks. And that's challenging. The only thing that you can control is how you respond to the situation.
Mhm.
So rewiring your brain to be grateful that you have the opportunity to try this thing or whatever it is, instead of being frustrated that you're in the situation or over little things like forgetting a sentence.
When I think you and I talked a little bit about it, but I was at a bad accident years ago, and I was in a trauma center for 30 days. And what I realized, with all the physical healing that went on later, was that I had had a closed head injury. And so many of those same things you're talking about, I experienced. And I had never had anything like that in my life where I, exactly what you're saying, couldn't call up a name, a picture. People would, after I got back into town, people would come visit me and, oh, la 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 la, we're so glad to see, and I would have no clue who they were. No clue who they were. And so it was it was humbling, and what it
Yes,
also did was make me stop and say, it's all right. It really doesn't matter. What matters is the vibe that person is sending me, the vibe I am sending them. And if our vibes feel good together, they'll be patient with me. I'll be patient with myself. If they're not patient with me, I learn not to care. And it's like, bye bye. Well, bye bye. I'm tired now. Bye bye.
I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but it was definitely after I started my treatments. I was walking around town with my sister and a couple of friends, and somebody approached me, and by the conversation, they clearly knew who I was, and I had zero idea who they were. And at that time, my wonderful solution to the problem was to burst into tears and run away. Um, and I think back on that, and I still don't know who the person was. Like I, and
Obviously,
I,
it doesn't really matter. Life went on.
yeah, I know, but that moment helped define some of my thinking on it, and I've had similar experiences since, and I have learned to say, I think it's absolutely wonderful that you know who I am, but I don't remember how you fit in my life. So if you could please remind me, and then we can go from there. And it allows me grace because you can't just fish it out when you want it, whether you want to or not. It's if it's not coming, it's not coming. So, but it allows me grace, and if the person has any grace, they give me the grace. And you're right, and sometimes they don't, and it's okay. Well, it's nice seeing you. Goodbye.
Mhm, mhm.
So I don't have time for that kind of energy in my life anymore. Living with kindness and being grateful for people and being grateful for being alive is more important at this point.
I think the other interesting thing that happens, or happened probably, in that scenario is when you can say to that person, um, you know, I don't know, I don't have a context for you. Tell me, how do we know each other? And the gift you give them is that they are having to look at themselves enough to say, why do I care to even be talking with you? Why am I just curious? Do I just want to know? Do I just want to be in the know? Or do I care? Do I really care about Tanya and how she is right now? And so you're giving that person a chance to elevate themselves to a higher place.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I didn't think of it like that. But yeah, I'm also giving them the opportunity to bow out gracefully if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. When you retold the story, I remembered our conversation on it previously, and it's super challenging, and it it hits kind of differently when you watch a parent start dementia and Alzheimer. Like So my father had dementia before he passed, and watching somebody who super strong and to start mentally deteriorating is, God, I think is one of the most awful things on the planet. Like, not just for you, but for them. I Having a glimpse into that kind of thing really scares the heck out of me, because that's a path I don't want to have to take, you know? And I have a friend who specializes in caring for dementia and Alzheimer's people, and she talks about the fact that the numbers are going to be like double in the next 6 years of individuals that are affected by dementia, and that's brutal.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's brutal.
My father was the same, and he was a very quiet, proud man. And so for him to know what was happening, that it was happening, was very hard. I was in the long-term care world for 8 years. I was a licensed nursing home administrator. And then later I did companion care in the, right before I moved, I was doing companion care. And it struck me every time how differently the person that I worked with, what their coping mechanisms were. Sometimes they were very funny, and sometimes they were very sad, and sometimes they were very lost. And what always ever mattered is that on my side of that equation, no judgment. Whatever they were going through, however they were going through it, they were still beautiful to me, or I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be there taking care of them if I didn't think they were beautiful, worthwhile human beings. And so that statistic is startling. And there's also, I believe, an equal swing toward good people with good intention who are looking for real solutions and cures and treatment, etc., for that. And so the people who have had to experience it to draw national attention to it or international attention to it, God bless them. They are the ones who showed the way. They're the ones who brought attention to what wasn't discussed before, until they were part of the wave that made the rest of the world face it. And so hopefully the next wave, the next beautiful wave. So they were the awakeners to us. The next wave is the solvers, the solution finders. And so that's the wave I'd like to see us all get on and ride, is focusing on solution.
I see a lot more people stepping up to these challenges. And I agree that the first thing that has to happen is public education, which is exactly why I started my platform, because there's so much about being diagnosed with cancer that you don't realize. And there's stuff that I'm realizing 16 years later that I didn't realize while I was going through it, when I'm talking with my clients and when I'm talking with other people in their specific zone of genius, where they're talking about whatever it is. And I'm learning every day, and I'm meeting more and more people who are stepping up to support people going through all these different issues. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful seeing all these people. So I'm looking forward to the solutions.
And so the same thing that your father served people that were going to be dealing with dementia, you are serving by what you went through. You are serving. You came from a servant lineage, a beautiful servant lineage, and that there's a saying I heard so many years ago, and to me, it's one of the most beautiful things. And it's when someone who's gone through, like we've discussed, trauma or drama or whatever in their lives, there is the saying, there, there before the grace of you go I. There before the grace of you go I, meaning before you, the grace that you are shows up. Okay, I'll walk that path. I'll walk that path because I'm preparing the way for you.
One of the reasons that I do this is specifically so that I could spare some of the horrors that I went through. I think it's super important for people to know that when you have a radiation in your abdomen, you're going to have poop problems. I have what I call poopsidents. Sometimes I'm out in public when it happens. Um, if you have a hysterectomy, chances of sexual dysfunction are high. This is stuff we're not talking about, and we need to. More people need to understand it. The medical system as it's currently functioning, we'll use that word loosely, needs a an overhaul, and people who do alternative wellness modalities really need to be included in the conversation with people who do allopathic medicine and really, I feel like it's a pipe dream, but if I'm discouraged, then that lessens the chances of it happening because I believe what we put our minds to, we can do. So sometimes that's hard when you look at how broken the system is and, you know, how much can I do? Well, I can do as much as I can do, and my sisters and brothers are going to help me because there are other people out there that are just as concerned with the status of our medical system in mass, from the fact that a lot of what's happening is band-aids on symptoms and not actual treatment of the problem. When when you hear things that like, and this is related but not related, that it's about mindset. So recently, um, companies that sell sanitary products for women were using water as the medium to test the products. Well, that's not what's going in them. And just now we're starting to use blood. Like, so that correlates to how all of the medical studies, vast majority of the medical studies are done on white men. And the rest of us are left out of the equation. We're finding out that women heart attack symptoms are completely freaking different, and people of color are completely out of the equation, which is absolutely ridiculous. So, uh, an overhaul really needs to happen.
Hopefully, again, the young people that are coming up are going to be more rebellious and do more questioning of the powers that be, and that we as parents of those young ones encourage them, question everything. Don't be insulting, don't be, rude. Question what doesn't make sense to you,
Yes.
and let that teacher, who's professing to be a teacher, uh, step up and say why they are telling you what they're telling you. Why they think that's something they should be teaching in your course. That whys are the favorite questions to be asking. There's a reason they're wise. That we teach our kids to ask, well, why is it? Don't just say why, because that'll get the person on the other side defensive. But if you say, why do you think that? Why, where does that come from?
Yeah.
So I guess the point being that the same way I think there's this beautiful wave of young people that are ready to step up and be different, look at things differently, do things differently, within a spirit of collaboration instead of competition, because competition has been the model in the the Western medicine.
Yes. And a lot of them are stepping up, and they're stepping up from a need because it's deplorable. The situation at this point is with so many people that don't qualify for health insurance or don't have health insurance for whatever reason because they don't have the money for it or whatever it is. The four of us that have health insurance are blessed, right? So they're forced into the situation to become advocates for themselves and their fellow generation. And it's beautiful to see just how forward thinking they are and how what's the word I want to use here? Honey badger about it. Like they're very strong in their convictions and they're not backing down, which is beautiful. Um, I would like to see a peaceful resolution, but I'm not sure that's in our cards.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes you have to stir the pot to stir the pot, and this pot is a little stagnant and needs a little stirring.
I think the other thing that's interesting is the upcoming generation has now been raised and had a little bit, quite a bit more actually, exposure to alternative modalities, to
Yes.
Western med or to Indian medicine, to the Ayurvedic, to Chinese medicine, to other um, um, ways of healing that don't have to be invasive, that, and that they, like we started out talking about, that there are things you can learn to do for yourself, because I truly believe that so many of the diseases that manifest into symptoms are stress related. And if we can go back and find the source of the stress, eliminate the symptoms of stress, then they don't have time to manifest into matter that becomes disease.
I had an amazing encounter with one of my gynecologists. The only reason I don't see her anymore is because she moved to Florida with her husband. And I had a mammography and there was something to look at. And she's like, I'm fairly certain that this is an inflamed lymph node, but you know, I'm going to recommend that you go see an oncologist was the gist of what the radiation tech from the so when I went in to see the gynecologist, she's like, okay, all right. So we're gonna get you in to see this oncologist. You make the appointment, and then I'll call the office to get the appointment pushed up because oncologists won't see you unless you're recommended or you have a cancer diagnosis. They're just not gonna see you. You'll get an appointment 6 months out because they don't have time for that. So, and she's like, and in the meantime, what can we do to manage your stress? She's like, do you want me to prescribe you something? Do you want me to talk to you about meditation? Have you heard about the goddess Durga? I'm like I just like I was like, yes, actually I have. But like it was an amazing experience because it wasn't just I'm gonna push these pills on you, but I'm gonna give you a host of different things that can help you with your stress and anxiety over this, especially as somebody who's previously had cancer and now possibly has additional cancer. So I agree with you. Like stress, ooh, how I was feeling in the moment and how I handled that month that I waited in order for this beautiful oncologist to tell me, yep, that's just a lymph node. You're fine. This it was probably like the second most stressful time of my life, right? Outside of the whole cancer journey. So, yes, managing the stressors is is huge. The changes that stress causes in your body and the harm that it does. Excessive stress. I mean, you do need a little stress, but what we as society now have, I think is just vamped up too much. Excuse me. So yeah. Um, and there's a lot of different ways that you can manage your stress. Meditation is a beautiful way to do that. Uh, Aromatherapy is a beautiful way to do that. Being in nature, taking what the Japanese call forest bathing.
Mhm.
That's fun, right? Like just going for a walk in the woods and just feeling the energy of the forest, sort of like a cloak being placed on your shoulders. Comfortable hug kind of thing.
And if you go into, I lived in Montana for 16, 17 years, and before that, Colorado, and now I live in the forest in Illinois. So nature is very important to me, where I've always chosen to spend my time and now live. And that, an interesting experiment. I'll give you two interesting experiments next time you're out and about. That you're when you're out in nature, where you know, like you're going to be walking in a nature path or whatever, is that literally before you start walking that path, to let um, them know you're coming, and that you know their power, you know their energy, you know their flow and their generosity, and ask them that as you're walking through, that any of those trees or flowers or plants or birds or whatever happens to be going by, the rocks that you walk on, that the healing essence of their vibration recognizes you
Mm,
and supports you on that walk. And I swear, if you do this, when you walk, you will see branches bowing down to you. You will see rocks kind of kick up in front of you, like, who kicked that rock in front of me? There's nobody walking in front of me. I mean, literally, nature is such a loving, healing force. It wants to be asked. It wants to support you. Humans aren't very good to nature right now, but nature still loves humans. You know, and when we acknowledge nature and we welcome nature and we honor nature and say, nature, I know everything pharmacology has come up with is from nature,
yes.
right? And a poor replica of it. So instead, to go to the source, the trees, the leaves, the branches, and say, you know what? I'm going right to source. The sun's light through you into me. What more could I ask for? To
Yep.
support whatever else I might need to be doing. Yeah, 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 the other stuff too. But this is what supports my nervous system. This is what supports my oxygenation of my body and my blood and my brain, so that the stress things aren't an issue. So that's one thing to do. The second thing to do that's very fun, if you're someone who likes to walk and kind of do a faster walk, or there's a place where you can do a faster walk, is so like when you walk and you kind of make your arms go like this by your side,
Yeah.
you're walking. Okay, that when you start doing that, that literally tap into the heart chakra and ask the heart chakra to move through your arm, and have your hands open like this when you're walking, and that the heart chakra energy goes down your arm and out every one of your fingers. Okay, so when you're walking like that, you're throwing heart light out in front of you to light your way. You're throwing it behind you to light the way for the people who walk behind you.
That's beautiful.
So you are walking and sending and moving into and leaving behind heart essence.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. The first what's the word I'm using here? The first one that you said about basically setting your intention. Like whenever you start something, set the intention. So I love that because when you put the intention out there, you get better results because the universe knows what you're expecting. So when you decide what you're asking for in advance, the universe could go, oh, okay, because the universe is listening. So if you're going and doing stuff and you don't tell the universe what it is you're looking for, the universe isn't going to give you what you're looking for. You're, it's going to give you what you're asking for. So every time you open your mouth and you say something negative or like words are powerful and
Mhm.
we really need to be more careful with them.
Just on that very note of being careful with our words, for many years, people have talked about setting intentions. And I was meditating on that one day because it never felt like setting an intention. Something about that didn't resonate with me. And I'm like, what is it that bugs me about that? And Spirit answered, it's more powerful to send an intention than to set an intention. Because if you set an intention, you're making a block of it, it's yours, and it doesn't let anything else better come in. Whereas if you have that intention and you send it out to the universe, it goes through, light years of possibilities of support. And so instead of saying setting an intention, I'm sending an intention. Isn't that funny? How close of wording it is, but the difference in meaning.
It's huge. It's huge. Thank you. I will try to adjust my my setting to sending because that's funny. That's beautiful, Donna. I love that. See, we're always learning something new, right? Every time we
And
talk
they're
to,
simple things. They are such simple adjustments that can get big, 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 big results. Big results.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I thank you for your time today. I want you to tell the audience again about that gift that you were talking about in the beginning.
Oh, so on my website, if you go there, there is a book that I used to charge for it. Now it's a gift, and I suggest that people download it because it was given to me at a time when I didn't know the next step, and the name of the guide is Now Stepping. Where do I step now? How do I step now? And so it's Now Stepping, and it's only 10, 12 pages or whatever with journaling space. But it was totally channeled information. And I went back and reread it the other day because I wanted to make sure the downloads were working. And I'm like, God, this is good. I'm like, God, this is good. Thank you, God. This is really good. And it's very simple. And it's one that I highly recommend because we've gotten into a place where we skim everything. Don't skim this. Read it out loud to yourself as if you were reading it to a blind friend, right? Because we're blind about ourselves. So read it
So
out loud
much so. Oh my goodness.
and hear
You
your
can
own
help
voice say
everybody
it.
else, right?
So if you go to the website soulteaches.com, in the footer there's a bar there to click on, and then if you like and you wanted to also get I'll email updates on things that I do or where I'm going to be or whatever, you can choose to do that too. um,
Fantastic. I will make sure that all of that information is in the show notes so they can find your web address easily. Donna, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been fun.
You're welcome. All right. Till next time, everyone.